In today's gospel, Jesus would want to teach his disciples and the crowds regarding the kingdom of God. Because what our notion of kingdom on earth is very far from the kingdom of God. Because the kingdom of God is a kingdom where love reigns. God reigns. That is why he made use of parables. There are in fact two parables that he used in this gospel tonight to explain to them his teaching on the kingdom of God. But both parables begins with a humble beginning, and that is the seed. The seed, when it is not planted, when it is not sown, when it has not yet grown up, it is insignificant. But he made use of the seed because the seed has a potency to become great. And in fact, he did explain the sowing of the seed. That when it has been sown, the sower, the man who scattered the seed, just go on with his life, but did not know what had happened until during the time of harvest season. And in the harvest season, there is that feeling of joy and abundance. The farmers, they do feel that they have the abundance of crops during harvest season. And because of that abundance, they have that joy in their hearts. So meaning to say, the kingdom of God is a kingdom of joy and a kingdom of abundance. But it has been given to us as a seed. When Jesus had come, he inaugurated the kingdom of God on earth. That kingdom of joy, that kingdom of abundance. But it has to grow in us. The second parable is the mustard seed. The same. It is a humble beginning, but it has grown and become the largest among plants, where extended branches wherein birds dwell. Birds find dwelling place on the branches of that plant. Which would mean that in the kingdom of God, there is an experience of being at home. That being at home with love, being at home with truth, being at home with peace. If you notice, in the second reading of today, Paul had said, we are at home with our body, but not with God. But God would want us to be at home with him, to be at home in his kingdom. But we have to begin from the beginning of being a seed and let it grow, and then be at home with his kingdom. As I've said, kingdom of truth, kingdom of peace, kingdom of love. I would like to connect this in the last Sunday's first reading. The last Sunday's first reading about the fall of man. Adam was asked, "How did you know that you are naked? Did you eat the fruit that I had forbidden you to eat?" And the man said, "The woman that you have given to me gave me the fruit." And God asked the woman, "What did you do?" And the woman said, "The serpent tricked me," or the serpent deceived me. What does that mean? That there is a conversation between the woman and the serpent presented something that attracted the woman, and that something is not the truth. As I mentioned these because we have to be at home with the truth, not with lies. In this generation of ours, there are people who are at home with not truth. We call them in this time of ours, with the presentation in the social media, we call it fake news. Some people catered to fake news. They're happy receiving fake news. They are happy propagating fake news. They are at home with fake news. But God would want us to be at home with the truth. And that is precisely, I would say, the figure, the image of that land where birds find a dwelling place, that they would want to be at home. St. Paul, in the first reading today, as I have mentioned, that we are at home with the body. Meaning to say, we are at home with our own selves, with our own senses. But this body of ours will just come to pass. And what is the indication that we are at home with our body? We are so focused with our body. And many times, we would want to preserve our body. Some people, like an example, we don't want to grow old. We are afraid to grow old, because next to old age is death. We are afraid of death. In order for us not to grow old, what will happen? We are so focused on many things. We put on many things that we may not grow old. But it is a reality that we grow old. How are we going? What is the presentation of Paul? That we may go back to God. We have to be at home with God, because in the last part of the second reading of today, it says that, "For we must all appear before judgment seat of Christ, so that each may receive recompense according to what he did in the body, whether good or evil." Because God would want us to be at home with him. Yes, we have the body, but our body will just come to pass. Our body should glorify God, not glorify us, but glorify God. That sometimes when we focus on us, we would want us, our body, to be glorified, but God should be glorified through our body. Now, Paul says, how can we do this? We walk by faith, not by sight. That is his word in today's second reading. We walk by faith, not by sight. Because if we walk by sight, then we will just focus on this earth. We will just focus on the body. But if we walk by faith, we will focus on God, and God leading us towards the kingdom. That is Paul's instruction to Christians, that we may truly be at home with the kingdom of God, not just with our body. The third implication of the gospel of today, which is connected to the first reading, is the kingdom of God is a kingdom where there is life. Not just life, but the fullness of life. And the first reading indicates that fullness of life, that the dry blooms again. Because God has a power to do that when he said, I, the Lord your God, had spoken, and I will do it. The kingdom of God is a kingdom of life, not a kingdom of death. This is connected to the kingdom of truth, not the kingdom of lies. And so because of this teaching, God would want us to restore in us that seed that he has planted. The seed of faith that he has planted in us, so that, as Paul had said, may we continue to walk with faith. Please rise for